Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Hey everybody, welcome into a new episode of Rounding the Bases presented by Community America Credit Union. I've just been nuts right now. This is my first chance to record a podcast where my new book has come out, and so I just want to say to everyone, because I'm in total promotion mode, which anybody that knows me knows that I don't like that piece of it at all, but it's part of it. So the new book, Small Ball, Big Dreams, is out, and I know both of my guests are getting copies of it as well. If you're interested, you can get it on my website, joelgoldbergmedia.com, or right through Amazon. I'm going to keep saying that because I'm really super excited about the book. And want to thank my friends at Community America Credit Union, as well as Chief of Staff Kansas City. If you're in the job market, if you're interested, chiefofstaffkansascity.com, making connections that matter. My connections today are really a couple of my only guests that are guaranteed, unless they get sick of me, to come back every single year, because they've become great friends of mine, and they just bring it every single year. And I always want to say, like, we're honoring Black History Month, but I could have my two guests on any month of the year. And I think that actually they've opened up a lot of doors for me to really be able to have great representation on this podcast week after week, month after month, not just in the month of February. But today's guests are encore contributors who are back for our third annual Black History Month panel discussion, although they've been on more than 3 times. Joining from Boston is the incredible Chandra Clark. She is a visionary agent of change and president of the Corey C. Griffin Foundation, whose commitment to helping others has been a pillar of her distinguished 15-year career. Next up is Andre Davis, vice president of Alliant Insurance and a prominent leader in Kansas City, known for both his innovative ideas. He brings positive change to the present tense in both business and civic communities. We don't really know exactly where this discussion's going. Andre said, what do we want to talk about this year? And I said, I don't know. Let's figure it out. And I think we have some ideas, but I'm very excited to bring in my friends, Andre Davis and Chandra Clark. I told you guys when we were texting, emailing, whatever recently, I said, I don't really care what we talk about. I just have such a comfort level with the two of you and the three of us together that I just know that it'll be a good conversation. And usually there's a specific topic, or I want to tell this story, but you guys are, I told you both as friends, as trusted friends, as people that I respect, that I want you two on every Black History Month, not as the ones that have to explain or whatever, but just so we can continue to further discussions. Does that make any sense at all, Chandra?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
For those that are not watching us on YouTube, Chandra wins the award so far in 2025 for having the most stylish glasses on this podcast. It might be of all time, by the way. They look phenomenal, and but that's what she does, right, Andre?
That's right. She's a diva, man. That's awesome. I love her.
I didn't say diva, but yes, she is a diva.
I said it, so she is a diva. That's what she is. So,
all right. We are gonna try to solve all the world's problems in less than 40 minutes here. I know we're not gonna do that, but I so love the discussion. You know, for me as the white guy in the group, I feel just my own responsibility of being an advocate. We've talked about that, but more than anything, I just hope that for people that are listening that have different perspectives or wherever, whatever your background, whoever you are, that maybe you pull something from this discussion, whether it be from my perspective or Andre's perspective or Chandra's perspective. And, you know, we all grew up in different backgrounds and we all have different situations in life right now that have brought us together in this great way. So let's start with this, Andre. And I think we all agreed on this, that none of us have the time for politics or the heart for it or the desire for it. We could certainly do that. This is not really a political show, although I think it's people like Andre that gave me the voice to speak out during George Floyd and during some of the things that have given me a better understanding. And I'm just curious your thoughts on this world, because I think what the three of us decided was that we want this podcast to be one of hope. Yeah. Not one of lecturing, not one of preaching, but maybe just giving people hope for everyone. So where's your mind right now in, quite honestly, a tough time, or what could be a tough time?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. First of all, let me say congratulations on the new book, man.
Thank you.
Can't wait to get into the book, and I'm waiting on my signed copy, by the way.
You're getting it tomorrow as we record this, because I'm seeing you tomorrow. Chandra's is already in the mail.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. So first of all, thank you for having us back. Great seeing Chandra. Love that I get a chance to see her face.
Whose phone is that? Is that you,
That,
Dre?
that's me, and I apologize for that because that's a text, and I'm trying to stop that. So
He's just so popular. That's the thing. Well, if that's edited out, then no one will know. But if it's not edited out, just let us make sure we know that. Thank goodness he's going to silence it the rest of the way. Otherwise, we'd be interrupted every second. Go on.
that's right. I think that was President Obama trying to get at me, so I'll have to call him back later, like I do. I'm going to turn that off so it doesn't ring. So here's what I'll tell you in the world that we sit in today, right? And I think we're seeing this nationally. My hope for people would be simply this: to sort of pause, take care of your mental capacity. There are a lot of things happening in the world right now, and I think if we're paying attention to every piece of information that is happening nationally and then happening locally, I think we're going to be mentally broke down. So what I would encourage people to do is lean into being an advocate for people who have no voice, especially during this time, because the things that are happening in this country certainly aren't positive, and there is an effect. Many people won't be affected. The people who have no voice, no power will be affected. So I think what it does for me is I've sort of closed out the noise of all of that, and I've said, make sure that I'm paying close attention to the people who will be the most impacted. And these are people that are economically deprived. These are people that sit in urban communities. These are people that sit in rural communities. Just be kind. Today I was at coffee and offered to buy a cup of coffee and they declined, but it was okay, right? Just simple gestures, I think, allow people to know that there are really good people in this world and that we don't just sit in this bubble of negativity. There are some really people doing some really good things. And in this month where we're seeing across the country where there's this hijacked initiative over DEI and some of the things that are happening. I think we just have to know that we have a purpose in making sure that in our walks and the things that we do, that we're including people in things that might be excluded and lean into that and sort of turn out the noise that's in your ear, at your fingertips, on your social channels. Just get in the habit of cleansing that, because if not, you're going to be exhausted.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. You know, one of the things that I learned is I like politics, sort of. I mean, I thought I did, but I just found that regardless of result, that there was so much noise with it that it was affecting. I don't want to say it was affecting my mental health. It was, I'm sure, but it was keeping me from doing the things I needed to do. It's no different than like if you like to whatever your guilty pleasure is, right? If my wife likes to watch those reality shows or whatever it is, and she knows that there's no value to it, but that's her escape, right? And I think that for me, the politics almost became an escape from sports. Like, I love sports, right? But I need to get away from it, so I was watching all that. But I was reading less. I was doing less for entertainment, and so there's I've heard a lot of people say I can't pay attention to politics anymore. Maybe they didn't like the result of the election. Maybe they don't like what's going on in the world right now. And that's okay. I also think, though, Chandra, that there's a responsibility for all of us, any of us, no matter who you are, to be informed. And so I just wonder, for you right now, this all affects you and what's going on in this world, how you tune it out but stay in tune. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joel. I think, to echo what Andre said, is that we really have to focus on speaking up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. But I also think we need to recognize that we have more power than we ever have had before. And I read this quote the other day, and it said, they want to exhaust you. So in essence, all of this is meant to distract and exhaust you and take you away from the fact that you have more power than you've ever had before. I think we have believed this lie that somehow life is supposed to be simple and we're not supposed to have chaos, and it will never be that way. We will always have challenges. We will always have differences about political opinions. But what I've decided is that I am going to take onus of my power now more than ever before.
Mm.
So I won't be deterred by DEI cuts. I'm a powerful Black woman who's brilliant, and I'm going to own that. So I'm going to get the opportunities that I deserve because of who I am, not because of what someone is telling me. And so in a sense, yes, there's the panic and there are things that are unfair and things are not being done in the right way. But at the same time, I am going to make sure that I'm not only advocating for others, but I'm going to advocate for myself. No one is going to take away from me what I've worked so hard and diligently to build.
You know, and to build on that, by the way, and like this is a lesson for anyone, but like it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter your background, your race, your gender, your standing, you know, in your communities, your finance, whatever it is, like you got to take care of yourself. Right? I mean, it's the old, you know, the message on the airplane to take the oxygen mask for yourself before you can help others. You've got to take care of yourself during any of this. And so what you just said, Chandra, if you're so worried about what's going on out there and you stop taking care of yourself, then you don't have that voice. And other thing I wonder too, Andre, is, and speaking specifically for the Black community, but it doesn't have to be. It could be for the brown community. It could be for, you know, any immigrant, whoever, that there's this, feels like to me there always will be this pendulum or this, like, however you want to call it, you know, two steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, or 1 step back, that it's just never going to be a straight line. And I don't mean to say this as an acceptance. Like for me, I had a friend the other day that said, if you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for? And I haven't come up with all my answers yet, but the first one I came up with was to find a way to end racism and discrimination. And my first thought would have been like world peace. And I'm not sure that either one of them are really easy tasks.
Yeah.
Because if they were, they would have been accomplished a long time ago.
Right.
But as someone that I was always looking for hope, I wonder, like, can you find the hope and the progress and the steps forward amidst steps back?
Yeah, it's a large ask, right? Right now to find hope. And so I think what we have to do is we have to disconnect, but stay connected, like you started, right? Which is in the periphery, you kind of know what's going on, but you want to be hopeful to others. And you can't be hopeful to others if you're negative to yourself, or you're in a mold where you feel like the world is coming down on you, that there's no hope. There are a lot of really good things happening, right? You take the Super Bowl, right? We have 2 Black quarterbacks playing. There was a time in my life where the NFL said you couldn't be a quarterback being Black. I remember those times, right?
Yeah, because you weren't smart enough. You weren't perceived as smart enough,
right? I mean, that was language that was aired, right? Where Black quarterbacks were deemed unintelligent to be in that position. And then we have 2 Black quarterbacks that are starting. So, and you know, so we've certainly made some progress in this country, but I think we have to ask ourselves too, if there's a book around this called The Life Worth Living that I really like this book because it does ask, if you were to pass on and go to heaven and God would ask you, what would if I gave you all these gifts and talents and abilities, what did you do with life when you're on earth? I think we have to ask ourselves, if we went to heaven and we were in front of Jesus or whoever you pray to, Buddha, Allah, whoever that is, and you were asked that question, what contributions did you make to earth, to society, whatever? And are we comfortable about the direction that the country's heading, about the people that are sort of disassociated, the people that are not being cared for? Are we happy with that? Is it a money grab? Is it a power grab? Is it all those things? So we can provide hope to the people that we encounter that are witnessing this, that are experiencing this, and saying, but hey, what about me? These aren't helping me, right? And I think we have to be that hope for each other. So we're going to have to disconnect from some, because every day, whether there's a plane crash, whether there's something going on, Gaza, whatever that is, you can find all the things that you're hungry for. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to change your appetite, and your appetite has to now go to, how do we just say and sit in this moment and go, I'm really grateful for the opportunities I have. I'm grateful for my life. I'm above ground. My family's healthy. And we have a lot of problems in this country. So it starts at the local level, obviously, and control what you can control. You can't control what's happening right now. Control what you control what you digest digitally. And if you're using print, control all of those things and be hope to somebody else. Because I think those that like Chandra that sit in the nonprofit world, and certainly I do some nonprofit work, what lights my brain up is when I'm impacting a group of people that are getting assistance or needing help through a nonprofit, because what it reminds me of is that my life is pretty good. My life's pretty good. And these are people that need help in a number of areas, right? And so if they can smile when they're facing trauma, sexual assault, abuse, why would I be so caught up in political speak? That doesn't matter. That matters, right? And so I just think we need to try and figure out how to find hopeful things to talk about that can overcome some of the negative things that are happening right now. Like Chandra said, is I'm still going to be me. I can't wash who I am away. I am this and I will stay this. And there have been some really strong people behind me that have helped me do a lot of things in this community. And so we want to continue to do that work, but we've got to spread some hope to people that feel like no one's paying attention to them.
I want to go back to one thing real quick about the quarterbacks, and then I'll go to Chandra here, because I remember that exact same time. I remember growing up, and I remember in the 80s, before we moved to Chicago, I was in Philadelphia. The star quarterback for the Eagles was Ron Jaworski, and he was a great quarterback. The backup quarterback was Randall Cunningham, and he would come in on 3rd and long to run. And it was almost like, well, as long as he runs and doesn't think, then, he doesn't need to pass. He doesn't need to read anything. Just go run and being an athlete. That was sort of the undertones there. And then I remember Doug Williams won a Super Bowl MVP for Washington. It was a huge deal. Look, and I understand we're saying this before the Super Bowl, so we already know that Patrick Mahomes is going to win the Super Bowl MVP. But no, we don't. But if Mahomes wins the MVP, or if Jalen Hurts wins the MVP, it's not going to be a black quarterback won the MVP. It's just going to be he won the MVP. If you go back a little bit, had Lamar Jackson in Baltimore beat Buffalo, it would have been all 4 black quarterbacks in the conference championships. Instead, with Jaden Daniels, it was 3 or 4. There wasn't a whole lot of talk about that. That, to me, in a very small way, is progress. No one is sitting there and identifying the quarterback as black or white. They're just great quarterbacks. That, to me, gives me hope, because there's a generation right now coming up, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever your son's probably Gen Alpha, I think, Andre. They won't know what it looked like before.
Right.
This is not a conversation that would cross their mind. I don't know. Like for me, Chandra, and that's just a discussion about quarterbacks. We could discuss about why there aren't more black coaches in all of sports and executives. So a reminder of progress.
Yep.
But don't you feel like we have to find the small wins and celebrate them, or just celebrate the normalcy of it?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll, just relate this to being, there are very few black women CEOs of nonprofits, and there are challenges that I've had to overcome with being in meetings with people that are talking to me a certain type of way, and I have to check them immediately and let them know, are really just fighting for my role to be respected. And that's an ongoing thing, right? And so in this mindset of celebrating small wins, I have to take the time to remember jobs I was in where I was entry level, or I didn't have a boss who supported me, or I had a boss who told me that I wasn't capable, right? And I tapped into a sense of resiliency and fought for myself. So those are wins. And there are steps that I took along the way to be where I am. And like Andre said, being in this place of being grateful, when I think about the fact of, I was a single mom for 12 years. I could have been on the streets. I could have been strung out on drugs. I have a trauma background. I had every reason to give up on life. And I think, again, with this idea of being distracted by the literal foolishness that's going on in the world, you forget that God has blessed you and equipped you to overcome things in a way that maybe your ancestors didn't have those opportunities.
Right.
So again, going back to my statement about power,
Right.
we cannot afford to get distracted. We have to really understand that we, at this time in the world, have more access, more resources, more opportunities than ever before. And we really have to be in this mindset that no one is going to take
There's Obama again.
And my phone is off. That's unbelievable.
Obama's like,
Obama's like, I got to get on this call. How can I get
it's not that good of a podcast. Chandra, go on, pick that up.
Yeah. So just saying that we really have to be in this mindset of no one is going to take this away from me. And I'll be honest with both of you. You know, I've really struggled mentally. Living in Boston, that's an area that's very different from Kansas City. Again, being in a role, being in a different community. I left my whole life in Kansas City to relocate and to really take charge of my career. It was very difficult. There's elements of grief and sadness that I had not felt before in my life, right? And so when I speak about being thankful for the small wins, that comes from the heart. That I had to get up and I had to tell myself, you can't stay in this pit. You know, you can't afford to give up. Mm-hmm. And so again, we're always going to have challenges, but there has to be something in us where we understand that we and ourselves are valuable and worthy, and we have to remain focused on the end goal.
I want to ask you guys this because, you know, I don't know first off, I wish none of this was a political discussion. Yeah. I want to say there's one part of it that, like, it feels to me like, you know, over the years, our Congress has turned into like Parliament in England. And I don't know that much about that stuff other than it just feels like it's just a circus and everybody is, whoever could say by the way, this is on both sides. Whoever could say the craziest thing gets the headlines and gets the social media. And so they don't care. Like, you know, in the old days, there was, you know, at least some, what's the word? Decor? No, that would describe decorum.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't seem like that matters anymore. And so it's just easy to throw grenades. And, you know, you got fired for stuff like that before. But if you're not going to get fired for it now, then it gets you publicity. And so that's the noise. That's the noise to me to ignore. Yet you still have to pay attention to it because if it becomes the belief of everyone and there's so much conspiracy and all that out there. So my question is this.
Yeah.
We live in a storytelling world. By the way, that's not new. It's always been a storytelling world. What's the story to tell right now? Because I still believe that when it comes to fighting for something, whether it be people's rights, whether it be, fighting the drug companies, like big money always wins. But I've always felt like when you can prove to someone that they can make better money elsewhere or in a different way, then big money doesn't win anymore. Meaning that isn't the story that, so like to me, DEI became a political thing. It was just a political tool. That's all it was. But so you got to play that game. But sometimes it's just the storytelling. And so if the political game made everybody believe that DEI is evil, not everybody, but some people, then isn't the story to be told that DEI or just the ability, the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion could make your company better and make more money because you're going to get the best. Like, isn't there a way to tell this story that strips down the evil narrative that is out there? Isn't this just a lesson in storytelling? I know it's not that simple, Andre, but doesn't the onus then become on people to go out there and explain what this really is, or in a more simple way? Sometimes we overcomplicate this stuff.
Yeah, so it is. I just did a talk for this logistic company yesterday, or on Wednesday, I think. What are we, Friday? Yeah, Wednesday. And the scenario that I presented was if the parents in the room, there were many parents, everybody was a parent, had daughters, right? And so I said, if all boys were on an apparatus and all the girls were against the fence and all the boys were having a good time and the girls were just moping, didn't have a good time, how many people in the room would go over and get the girls to come and play on the apparatus? And every hand rose. And I said, you realize that what you rose your hand to was DEI, a part of DEI, which was inclusion. We would want everybody to participate. Why don't we want everybody to participate? And for the people that are listening, please don't take this as a political discussion. It's not a political, it's a human discussion. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't paid attention to the Deloitte Well-Being Survey, guess what's on the list? DEI. Guess what's on the list? Mental health. Guess what's on the list? Belonging. And there's such a disconnect between CEOs and employees and how they feel their employees show up. So this is a human conversation. This is not a political conversation. This is a human conversation. And what I will say is when many people that will be the most affected aren't paying attention to the day-to-day, word for word, tit for tat that's happening on every news channel, right? They're hearing snippets of everything. Mm-hmm. The story is Apple is not getting rid of their DEI practices. Costco aren't getting rid of their DEI practice. There are a lot of organizations and leaders that are saying, I don't care what the government's doing, we're marching on, right? And so those are the stories we need to pull forward because they are being, and I hate to even say we have to be this way, but they're being courageous. We shouldn't have to be courageous. This is a human thing to do. Again, I just said, if we had boys that were on an apparatus and girls weren't, we would invite all the girls to be on the apparatus. Why aren't we not inviting people to participate? None of us that check a box of Asian, Black, Brown, Latino, any of that would tell you, I'm so excited they invited me to participate in their company because I'm Latino. I don't have any skills, but I'm so glad they checked that one block. No one would celebrate that. What we want is what Chandra said. Invite me to the dance and let me tell you how I'm qualified. But if we can't even get in the room, then we're not including people that are to be included. None of us want to be invited into the room only because we check a box. And I don't think Chandra's ever been in that situation where she's only been invited in the room because she checks the box. She is super talented, skilled, and she understands her craft. I understand my craft. I wouldn't accept, because I have too much agency for Andre to accept anything that would be lower than that. We have standards. And that what I question about where we are in this country is, does character matter? Does integrity matter? It would seem that those are not the things that we care about today. We care about being right and fear. And we're not courageous. And so when that happens, not at just the national level, that's happened inside our organizations. It's happened inside our nonprofits. There is a story where people are fighting against what we're seeing across the country. And I just mentioned a couple of those companies, and there are a lot more companies that are saying, I don't care what they're doing. J.E. Dunn's one of those. Our company is still going forward, all their DEI initiatives, not stopping, not pulling the plug. There are a lot of companies that are in this, and we don't care what's happening nationally. We know it's the right thing to do, which is to make sure that everyone has a voice in how they take agency of themselves.
And I would just spell it out this way. It's not hiring because it's the right thing to do. It's hiring because who wouldn't want access to the best people? So as you said, Andre, just give everybody a chance. Giving everybody a chance, the way you say it is giving everybody a chance isn't a matter of being fair. Yes, it would be nice if we could convince everybody with that. This is coming through your computer. That's what's going on. It would be nice if we could convince everybody that, yes, doing the right thing, being fair. But I think the simple way to look at it all comes down to money in the end. And the simple way is, do you want access to all of the talent pool or just some of the talent pool? Because I would think that anyone that wants to make money and have the best companies talk all the time about, I'm hiring for the person, I'm hiring for the right fit. Like the best culture companies most of the companies I speak to about culture aren't trying to first find their culture. They regularly invest in it. They know who they are and they want to keep growing that. And so they do so by looking for a person that fits based on personality and work ethic, not based on color, race, gender, and so to me, it's like, why, if you want to make money and build a successful team, would you limit your talent pool? And like that to me is the simplest way to say it. And because there just are going to be people out there that say, oh, this is a handout. Oh, they're just trying to do the right thing. Oh, they're trying to fill a quota. Oh, they're just trying to be politically correct or whatever. No, how about I'm just trying to build the best team?
And Joe, that's what got hijacked. I mean, before you go to Chandra, that's
hijacked.
what got hijacked rather, right? Which is, oh, it's just performative. Oh, you're just filling the quota. That's the hijacking. We don't want those things. What we want is, if you have an organization that is one way, whether it's all black or brown or whether it's all white, you ought to be asking yourself, what is it about my organization that says to a group of people, you're not wanted here? You have to answer that. We're not going to answer that for you. You have to answer that. And the question I ask is, do you even know that when you walk out or walk into your company, that your staff is one way, all male, all female, all white, all black, or brown? What is that communicating out to your clients, your investors, your boards, all of that? And you have to answer those questions. So again, it's been hijacked. We have to tell a different story. You said everything that I think we want to know, right? Which is, we can't make DEI performative. It's a human thing. It's everybody should be included into the organization, right? You wouldn't want your client mix to go, I'm going to sell you a Lululemon, but if you're black, I can't sell it to you. I mean, that this doesn't make any sense. You're going to walk into CVS and go, yeah, people that are white can come in, but the brown and black people can't. You have to go to Walgreens. I mean, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't even be tolerated. Why are we tolerating this?
Love all that. It all makes so much sense, doesn't it? Chandra, I'm curious, like, and we've talked about this many times before on this podcast and sitting at lunch in Boston. That's one of the best things I get to do. I get to go to Boston and I get to see Chandra every time. And
I missed my invitation, apparently.
Excuse me, Chandra, did he not say he was going to come last year?
He said he was going to come. That's okay, Andre. Boston's always here, but I love when Joel comes. It's one of my favorite things.
Right.
But like one of the things that you and I, Andre, you're welcome anytime. One of the things that you and I have talked about, and you referenced it earlier, is that Boston has such a deep rooted history with racism. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's not where it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, but it's, it can't be an easy place for an African-American woman who is in a big time position doing what you're doing with the Corey C. Griffin Foundation. I'm just curious, and I know that you have raved about the Griffin family, and they've become, I believe, if I understand it correctly, family to you as well. And so I'm just curious what the process has been like for you as you have had to, and I always say that if you are, this is what a lot of people don't understand about white privilege. White privilege is not a matter of having more money or I know plenty. I've talked to people that have said, I don't have privilege. I didn't grow up with any money. No, the privilege is the fact that when I get pulled over, I'm not too worried about something else happening, and I could do a million examples on that. I'm not worried when I walk into a room about, people looking at me funny. So Chandra, you're in a role where you're raising money, you're running a lot of important events, and you've built these relationships, right? How have those relationships evolved? I always say that someone of color, women, in Chandra's case, you win both. And that means to me that you got to climb a steeper hill. That's privilege to me. My hill doesn't mean that I haven't had to climb a hill. Doesn't mean that I haven't had to work hard. Doesn't mean that I haven't worked my butt off to achieve everything I've done. It means that I haven't had some of the same battles. I'm not carrying that boulder on my back that might be as big as Andre's and even bigger for Chandra being a woman and an African-American woman. And now you're living in this white world, in this traditionally white city, and yet you're finding a lot of success with the Corey C. Griffin Foundation. I know it doesn't ever end either, but how long did it take you to earn that trust and build that and prove to everyone, whether you shouldn't have to, but that's reality, right? That's your reality, and you're a driven woman. How long did it take you to build that trust? Because I think once you knock down that door and you get rid of all that garbage, it's not all gone. I'm just guessing here. You can correct me. It's not all gone, but maybe there's less resistance, a little bit less resistance. Maybe it gets a little bit easier over time. I bring all that up because I hope that it is hope for others. How did you go through that? How are you going through that?
So you just have to go through. And I didn't really understand it in the beginning because, again, I wanted to take charge of my career, which is why I moved to Boston. And so I took a risk in uprooting my entire life. And it wasn't easy to settle in. I am a Southern girl at heart. I don't know a stranger. And this is an opposite environment. I think where I've come to realize that I have a sense of privilege is that, with the Griffin family, I do have support and resources that a lot of other people would not have access to. And so what I am doing is, for the kids that we serve, it is my responsibility to do whatever I can to make sure that they can thrive and that there are limitless opportunities for them. And that's really where, in my role, my values align with the family's values. And I've learned that, you can have a difference of opinion, you can have a difference in lifestyles and backgrounds, but love is the common denominator. And I can tell you that when we are with those kids, the love that we feel, the genuine bond is there. But it has not been easy. And you know what? Let's have a real conversation. I've had to deal with myself, with my own biases, of being a woman of color, and things that I've been taught that I can't trust a certain race of people, or I can't trust people of certain economic backgrounds. So there's a lot of soul searching that I've had to do. There's been a lot of difficulties. I can't tell you that I've necessarily been embraced by some professionals of color here, but I can tell you that what I've learned is, do I even need that? I'm not 21 anymore. I'm not 25. You know what I mean? Like, I've earned my position again. Do I even need you? And I can tell you that I've had meetings where I've told people, you need to Google me because you don't know who I am. I don't need new friends. I don't need your validation. I don't need that. I don't need to have to tell you my resume. If you can't lead with respect, if you can't just be an advocate for community, we don't need to talk. But it took a lot of growth. It took a lot of pain. It's growing pains for me to evolve into that person to say, you know what? I know what I'm bringing to the table. I know my worth. I know my value. And I think for the sake of this conversation, at the core, again, you get online. I'm on LinkedIn. People are acting a fool on LinkedIn. The stuff they're posting, I'm like, professionals, like grown people. And I think, we talk about, wouldn't you want your company to, some people don't want to be better.
Right.
I think we have to, some people don't want diversity. Some people don't want the best talent. Some people don't want to change. And my thing is, then leave them where they are.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. We're going to wrap things up. Each a final thought for you. Actually, I think that sums up everything very well. So I want to give you a different opportunity, Chandra, as I will always do with the incredible work that you're doing at the Corey C. Griffin Foundation. Remind everybody about that work and anything big coming up that you want to let people know about.
Thank you, Joel. And thank you so much for your support. So Corey C. Griffin Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization. We are a grant giving organization, and our namesake, Corey Griffin, unfortunately passed away. It's 11 years now at the age of 21. And his family has really aligned their pain with their purpose to create this wonderful foundation where we're serving now 20,000 kids that we're providing funding and grants and scholarships to make sure that they have adequate support as they advance through their lives. Tomorrow is our annual Boston Winter Balls, our 17th annual Black Tie Gala. So our goal is to raise $2.3 million for that event, and we take all of those funds and grant them out to the organizations that we support.
The website, if you want to learn more, and I know this will run just a little bit after that event, but there's always stuff going on. The Corey Fest is a good one. You guys had Jake Owens in the past, and I know you gave me a great a hat from the Corey Fest as well. CoreyCGriffinFoundation.org. We'll have it in the show notes. Corey has an E, Corey, Corey Griffin, 2Fs, foundation.org. Andre, just a final thought. I'll let you put a bow on all of this because you got to call Obama back, and Chandra's got something to go to. Just wrap this one up for us in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, look, great discussion. Love seeing you all. It comes down to me, for me, what it comes down to is this is a human contact sport in everything that we do, whether it's Joel talking to players, Chandra's talking to funders and the people that are recipients of the Corey Griffin Foundation. This is a human contact sport, and we all should lead with a human-centered approach. And so I just want us to think if our kids were being treated, and I always go back to kids because it's the most relatable thing that people have, whether you have kids or not. You have seen these little things that are called germ donkeys that infect everything, and you know what they are. They eat and poop everywhere. But we need to think about how if our kids were watching us on video and how we treated other people, would we be proud of that? Mm-hmm. Would you be proud of it? Or would you have to explain? Mm-hmm. And I never have to want to explain how I interact with another human to my two kids. And so I would leave you with that. I would leave you that there are a lot of people that you don't know that are fighting on your behalf. Be open to receive that, because there are people that have no other intentions other than trying to figure out, and they come in all kinds of shades, by the way. They're white, they're black, they're brown, they're yellow. They come in all kinds of shades, right? And so we are to be really open to receiving the kind of help and support that people are trying to. Not everybody has some kind of an agenda. And so don't interact with people thinking they're just trying to get something from you. The people that do that show up and they show you their cards. The ones that are really trying to support you, they support you with no agenda. Have hope. Understand that there's a lot of people fighting on your behalf that you haven't met yet. And like Chandra said, love on people. I think we're at a climate where we need that, drastically need that. And I hope that's what will happen from all the things that are happening negative, that we'll sit back and try to lean a little bit into that.
Great stuff. As always, we'll do it again next year, at least on the podcast. The three of us will do it offline whenever we do that as well. Don't fool yourself. Chandra still looks 25, even if she's not. Me, on the other hand, not so much. Guys, love you both. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
For continuing to have important discussions, and we'll do it again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Chandra. I'll come to Boston.
Good to see you. Yeah. I'm holding my breath. Love you. Bye.
Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.